and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture we are going to go ahead and we are going to design the activity so that the user or the users at the back end in the restaurant are actually able to see the pending orders. So in the previous lecture we have designed the functionality so that the user is able to send an order, and now we will learn how the receiver is going to receive the order. So here we already have the add activity layout over here. So in this lecture what we essentially want to do is that we want to go ahead display all the orders from the client. So let's go ahead and add in a few dependencies even before we actually start with the project. So we will go to the project structure and let's go to app, let's go to dependencies, and in here we are actually going to add in the dependency for card view, recycler view, Firebase UI and Picasso. So let's go ahead add in a library dependency for card view first. So hit card view, hit this icon right here. So this is the usual stuff which we are doing, nothing new in that, and most of the things are going to be repetitive and it's going to give you a good practice. So after card view we are going to have recycler view, hit this icon, and the recycler view should be added as well. So make sure to select recycler view from here and hit OK. So after that we quickly need to go ahead and add in the dependencies for the Picasso as well as the Firebase UI. So I'm going to quickly go over here, add those two dependencies over here, and finally we will sync everything up. So now what we need to do is that we need to create a new activity. We are going to name it as open orders, and that activity is going to display all the current open orders. So let's quickly go ahead, go to app, let's create a new activity which is going to be an empty activity, and that's going to be called as open orders. Click finish. And now what we need to do here is that, and this activity is actually going to be of a recycler view kind of activity, so we also need to define a single order layout for this. So let's quickly go to resources and layout and create a new layout, and let's name that layout as, let's say, single order layout. Click OK. And after that what we will do here is that we will quickly go ahead and design the layout. So here we will design a card view layout. So we want to place the item in a card view, so that's going to be card view. Let's say this is going to be match parent, and let's say the height is going to be 100 dps. And after that we will add a linear layout to it. So we will type in linear layout, width is going to be match parent, height is wrap content, and to this linear layout let's set the orientation to vertical. So I'll type orientation equals vertical, and here what we need to do is that we only need to display two things. The first thing is we need to display the username, and then we need to display the order. So here let's go ahead and create a text view for displaying the order name or the username. So text view match parent wrap content as usual. Let's set the ID to, let's say, @+ID and order username. So that's going to be @+ID/order username, and let's quickly copy the same text view over here, and that's going to be order item name, so as to see which item the user has ordered. And after that what we will do is that we will basically go ahead and add this particular layout to the open orders activity. But even before that, let's set the layout height to, let's say, 100 dps, and I guess that would be appropriate. So once everything is done we are good to go. So now let's go to open orders XML code, and here we need to add in a recycler view because all the items are going to be in a recycler view. So we'll type in recycler view over here. That's going to be match parent and match parent, and let's say the ID is going to be order layout. And once this thing is done we are almost good to go. Now what we need to do is that in the open orders Java code we need to go ahead and start creating the recycler view content over here. But even before that what we need to do is that we need to create the order class. So right now we don't have any class over here, so we want to create an order class with the default getters and setters method. So let's create a class, name it as orders, or let's say order, And in here what we will do is that we will quickly set up few variables. So that's going to be string, let's say username, and the item name. So we will type string username, and make sure to use the same names which we have used in this order. So that is username and item name. So we will type in string username and give a comma. That should be item name. And let's quickly go ahead, create a constructor. So that's going to be public order. So this is going to be an empty one. And now let's create a parameterized one. So that's going to be public order with parameters as string name and string that's going to be username actually. So username, and the next one is going to be string item name. And let's quickly set the values over here. So this dot item name is going to be item name, and this dot username is going to be username. Okay, so once this thing is done, we are good to go. So let's add the getters, and after that let's add the setters as well. So once we have the getters and setters, we are good to go. So now we need to set up the recycler view in the openorders.java file. So we will go right here, and the first thing which we will do is that we will create a recycler view over here. So that's going to be private recycler view. That's going to be, let's say, m food list. And after that, let's create a reference to the database as well. So private database reference m database. And after that, let's go in the onStart method and initialize the food list. So m food list is going to be equal to, typecast it to recycler view, find view by id, r.id dot, that's going to be order layout, which is the id for the recycler view layout. And after that, mFoodList dot set has fixed sized, and this is going to be set equal to true. So these are just basically the usual things which we do while setting up the recycler view. So this is almost the same which we have done in the previous lectures as well. So this is going to be new linear layout manager, pass in this over here. Then m database is going to be Firebase database dot get instance, that should be dot get instance dot get reference dot child, and we are looking for child with orders. So make sure to add it up over there, and then we will create the onStart method over here. So that's going to be onStart, and after that we will also create the order view holder class, which could actually go ahead and extract the values. So that's going to be public static class, that's going to be order view holder, that's going to extend the recycler view dot view holder. And after that, what we will do is that we will go ahead and add a constructor to it. So make sure to click over here and create constructor matching super. So after that, let's also create a view over here. So that's going to be view with V in capital, and that's going to be order view. And here we will set up the order view value. So order view is going to be equal to item view, and in here we are going to have the methods, which is set username method and the set item method. So we will type in public void set user name, and here we will pass in string username, and inside here let's get a reference to the text view from the single view, which is text view, let's say username content as the name of this text view. Then we will typecast it to text view, find view by id, or let's say that's going to be order view dot find view by id, r dot id dot, and the name for this is going to be this one, which is order username. So let's go back here. So that's going to be order username for the username, and then finally we set the value. So we will type in username content dot set text, and that's going to be equal to username over here. So in a similar fashion, we will do the same thing for the set item name as well. So we will replace this by set, let's say, item name. This is going to be item name over here. This is going to be item name content. So let me just quickly replace this. Item name content, this is going to be order item name, this one is going to be item name content, and finally replace this with item name as well. So this is just to set the values for the item name and the username. And after that, what we will do in the onStart method, we will initialize the Firebase recycler adapter. So that's going to be Firebase recycler adapter. And I guess we don't have the recycler adapter yet because I guess we have not properly added the dependency for Firebase UI. And actually we have added it up, but the thing is that it's not showing up over here in the project. So in that case, you actually need to go to build, clean the project, and hopefully everything should work just fine. So once the project is cleaned up, hopefully this should work fine. So we'll type in Firebase recycler adapter. And in here, what we need to do is that we need to pass in the order class. And after that, we also need to pass in the order view holder. So after that, let's name this thing as FRBA. That's going to be equal to new Firebase recycler adapter. And as you could see, the populate view holder method is automatically created. Now in this thing, first you need to type in a few parameters over here. So the first parameter which we want to type is going to be order.class, and the next one is going to be obviously the single layout which we are using. So that's going to be r.layout. That's going to be single order layout. Then after that, let's go ahead and give the order view as well. So that's going to be order view holder dot class, and finally give the database reference as well. So once this thing is done, what we finally want to do is that we want to go ahead and get the username and set the recycler view to the username as well as item name. So that's going to be view holder dot set username. That's going to be model dot get username. Then we will type view holder dot set item name. That's going to be model dot get item name. And then the final thing which we do is that we set the adapter which is mfoodlist. So we'll type in mfoodlist dot set adapter and set it equal to the Firebase recycler adapter which we have just created. So that's going to be FRBA. And once this thing is done, you are good to go. Now one issue with this thing is that for this application, that is the owner's application, we have not set up any sign-in methods, and you actually need to set it up. But I thought that it would be quite redundant to repeat the same thing again and again in the same lecture, in the same section. So what we need to do here is that if you want to go ahead and access the user's order, what you can do is that you could go to rules, and for the moment you could set the rules equal to null. So right now they are not null, so make sure to have them null or else your application is not going to work. And as your homework, what you need to do is that you need to design the sign up and login functionality for the owners as well. So now the rules are published and hopefully the application should work just fine. So one more check we need to make here is that when the user actually clicks the second button, which is view open orders, the view orders is going to be the on-click method for it. So we do need to make sure that we have defined something for this thing as well. And I guess right now at the moment there is nothing for that. So let's quickly go ahead and create the method, which is public void. That should be view orders. So that's going to be view. And let's go ahead and start activity for new intent, which is main activity dot this comma, and the next activity which we are looking for here is the open orders. So we'll type open orders dot class, and once this thing is done, we are good to go. So now let's save the code and run the application, and hopefully we should be able to see the single one order which we have in our database right now, which is the order by Chris. So let's go ahead, run the app, and this is the order which we should get. Okay, so the application is up and running. So as you could see, let me just click on view open orders, and hopefully we should get a list over here. Okay, so as you could see, we actually got the list which is chris@gmail.com, and we also have Italian pasta over here. So as we had a single order here, so now the next thing which we need to do is that we need to go ahead and add an on-click listener to this particular item. And what we essentially want to do is that we want to go ahead and we want to make sure that the backend owner is able to delete this item. So right now you actually can't go ahead, click this thing, or you cannot delete it actually. So your homework for this section is that you actually need to design an on-click method for this particular item, which is the orders. And when the order opens up, you need to provide an option which says delete current order, which means that the order has been fulfilled. So that's your homework, and that's it for this lecture, and hopefully you guys understood how to design a simple food ordering system by using Android and Firebase. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.